A set of brake pads can cost $25 or $120, sitting on shelves 2 miles apart looking almost identical. One stops your car in 130 feet, the other needs 170, and you find that out in the rain. So, 11 places to almost never buy brake pads and dine. Then 5 where mechanics who fix cars for a living actually get theirs, and why the difference is not what you think. Dollar General and Dollar Tree. Start with the obvious one. When Dollar General or Dollar Tree hangs brake pads next to the laundry detergent, those pads were chosen on shelf price alone, by a buyer who never drove your car. The pad that looks like a brake pad and the pad that stops like one are two different objects. The cheap one uses a low-grade friction compound that fades when hot, and brakes get hot exactly when you need them most, on a long downhill or a panic stop. You never notice on a gentle test drive. You notice on the day it matters. A brake pad is not where you save $4. It is where $4 saved becomes the most expensive decision of your week. Gas station convenience stores. The spinning rack by the till exists for one customer, the person already broken down, already stressed, unwilling to drive further. That is not a parts supply. It is a captive audience, and the price and quality both reflect it. You pay a premium for the worst pads in town because you happen to be standing there. Convenience is the product. The brakes are just the excuse to charge for it. Amazon and eBay third-party sellers. Now the modern trap, and the one catching the most careful buyers. You search Amazon or eBay, you find a brand name you recognize at a suspiciously good price, and you buy with 2 taps. Here is what you cannot see. The issue is not the platform, it is the third-party seller behind the listing, whoever is cheapest that day. Brake pads are among the most counterfeited parts in the world, and a bad seller's fake copies the box, the branding, and the part number while skipping the certification the real pad passed. The listing looked like a bargain. What arrives can be a photograph of one. If the seller is not the brand or an authorized dealer, you are not saving money on a good pad. You are paying good money for a costume. Temu and AliExpress, the cousin of the last one. Temu and AliExpress list ultra-cheap pads shipped direct, no brand you can look up, a part number that matches nothing, and a price too good to be an accident. They are that cheap because they skip the expensive part, which is testing. A real pad is validated for how it grips cold, how it holds when hot, and how it behaves as it wears. A pad that skipped all of that can look perfect and behave unpredictably the first time it is worked hard. You are not the customer for these pads. You are the test. Swap meets and flea markets. Loose pads in an open box, no packaging, no paperwork, a cash price, and a friendly seller who will not be there next week. Even if those pads were once genuine, you have no idea how they were stored, whether they are the correct set, or whether the box holds 4 matching pads or 4 that merely look alike. The one part whose entire job is predictable behavior should never come from an unpredictable source. Cash, no receipt, no name, is a fine way to buy a lamp. It is a terrible way to buy the thing that stops 2 tons of metal. LKQ Pick Your Part. LKQ Pick Your Part is a good source for some parts, but a used pad off a junked car is not one of them. It looks like it has plenty of life left, and that is the trap, because you are not just buying the pad. You are inheriting how the last owner drove. Used pads wear into a specific pattern against a specific set of rotors. Bolt them to yours and the surfaces do not match, which means uneven contact, noise, and a bite that is never quite right. Rotors and calipers make sense at a junkyard. The friction surface almost never does. The one thing you can never see in a used brake pad is the only thing that matters, which is how it will behave the moment you truly need it. Subscribe, beat, quick thing. No parts brand or store paid for a word of this, and the list would look identical if one had. If that is worth something to you, subscribe. Back to it. AutoZone, O'Reilly, and Advance Auto Parts. Now the ones that are not about bad pads, but bad prices, because plenty of stores sell a fine pad and still take too much of your money. AutoZone, O'Reilly, and Advance Auto Parts stock good pads, and this is not a quality complaint. It is the counter. You walk in for a mid-grade set, and can walk out steered to the top-shelf lifetime package for double on a car you are selling next year. The upsell is not a lie. It is a mismatch. A pad built to outlast a car you will not own is money spent on someone else's future. Know which grade your driving actually needs before the counter tells you which grade you want. Jiffy Lube and Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Jiffy Lube and Valvoline Instant Oil Change, where brakes were never the reason you pulled in, and that is exactly why they are overpriced when you leave. Brakes here are an add-on to an add-on. You are already in the chair, told your pads are low, quoted a number on the spot, with no chance to compare. Sometimes the pads really are low. The price almost never is. A brake quote you had no time to shop is a brake quote designed not to be shopped. The dealership parts counter. The dealer sells you the exact factory pad, and it is the correct one for your car. Nobody disputes the quality. What deserves scrutiny is the markup on the word original. A dealer pad can cost double a premium aftermarket pad that meets or beats the same spec, often out of a similar factory. You are paying for the logo and the counter it sits behind. Under warranty, it can be the right call. On an older car, it is a tax on the badge. Original does not mean better. Sometimes it just means more expensive, wearing a word that makes you feel safe. Wrench and YourMechanic. Services like Wrench and YourMechanic are the last of the avoid list, and the point is narrow, because the labor can be excellent. The catch is that the parts are a black box. When the mechanic supplies the pads, you often do not learn the brand or grade until after it is fitted, if at all. That is not an accusation. It is a visibility problem, and the fix is simple. Ask which pad, in writing, before the job, or supply your own. What you cannot see, you cannot judge. Whenever you cannot see the box the pad came out of, you are trusting a stranger's incentive, not a product. Walmart, where a television, a bag of apples, and a set of brake pads sit within a few aisles of each other. The pads are real, boxed and branded. The problem is not the pad, it is that nobody is checking it is the right one. There is no parts counter and nobody to look up the right pad. You match a part number off a hanging card yourself, with no one to catch a mistake. The pad may be perfectly good. The process is built to move volume, not to make sure the set fits and suits how you drive. A brake pad, sold with the same care as a phone case, is a brake pad nobody checked but you. So if a mechanic will not touch most of that, where does he get his own pads? Not the most expensive place in town, the most predictable one. NAPA and WorldPac. NAPA and trade suppliers like WorldPac, the counters the industry uses, which also sell to the public if you ask. Not the retail rack out front, the professional supply behind it. The shop buys here because the person behind the counter can pull the exact pad for your exact car and stands behind a mistake. He is not buying a better brand than you can. He is buying certainty about fitment and grade, which is most of what a good brake job actually is. The professional does not pay more. He pays for being right the first time, and that is the cheapest thing in this entire video. Power Stop, Akebono, and Bosch. Direct buy the same trusted aftermarket names the trade uses, from the brand or an authorized seller, and you get the identical pad the shop bolts on, minus the shop's markup. The trick the mechanic knows is that the mid-grade ceramic or semi-metallic pad from a reputable name is not a compromise. It is the sweet spot. It meets the safety standard. It is quiet. It does not chew your rotors, and it costs a fraction of the lifetime pad built to win an argument at a retail counter. You do not need the most expensive pad. You need a known name bought from a source that cannot swap it for a fake. Rock Auto. Online is not the enemy. The marketplace free-for-all is. Buy online from the brand's own store, or a specialist parts site that sells to professionals, and you get low prices without the counterfeit lottery. The difference is who fulfills the order. When the seller is a dedicated parts retailer like Rock Auto or the manufacturer itself, the certification travels with the pad. When it is whichever anonymous account was cheapest today, it does not. Same screen, same convenience, completely different risk. Cheap and safe online is entirely possible. It just depends on the name after the words sold by. The one line most people never read. Your local independent shop. Not everyone wants to fit their own pads, and the mechanic move there is simple. Use an independent shop that will tell you exactly which pad it is fitting and show you the box. A good independent already did the filtering in this video for you. He picked a reliable mid-grade brand years ago and buys it by the case. Ask the brand and the grade, and a shop worth using answers without flinching. The one that dodges just told you everything. You are not paying a good shop for secrecy. You are paying it to have already made the boring correct choice, so you do not have to doing it yourself. And the last one is the cheapest of all, if you are willing. A brake job on most cars is one of the most learnable repairs there is, and doing it yourself removes every markup in this video at once. Buy a known mid-grade pad from a source that cannot fake it, watch the procedure for your specific car, and the only thing you are really buying is an afternoon. That is how the mechanic gets brakes so cheaply. He is not finding secret pads. He pays for the pad and nothing else, because the labor is his own. You do not need to be the mechanic. You just need to buy pads the way he does, from a source that cannot lie to you. So, here is the whole video in one line. With brakes, the danger was never paying too little or too much. It was buying blind. Every bad source on this list shares one feature. You cannot see what you are really getting until the pad is on the car and you are pressing the pedal in an emergency. Every good source shares the opposite. You know the brand, the grade, and the seller before you pay. So ask 3 things every time. What brand, what grade, and who am I buying it from? A source that answers all 3 cleanly is where the mechanics shop. One that dodges any of them is on the first list. If that was useful, subscribe. It genuinely helps.